So last weekend I had the opportunity to go to Orlando and see Doug Benson on Doug Loves Movies. And
He's a funny dude.
Yeah, oh my God.
Funny dude.
I absolutely love him. He's got a ton of podcasts. I listen to him all the time. He's pretty much my favorite stand-up comedian at this point. Mostly known as a pot comic, but, the guy's funny as hell. And I'm okay with, pot comics. But so it was very awesome to go and see this because it's one of my favorite shows to listen to. So I would pretty much say that it was a top 5 experience of my life.
That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it gets better though.
Oh, does it?
So when you go to Doug Loves Movies, you make a name tag, and it's usually you mock up a poster and you make it look like another movie. And so I did that, and I remade, and I'll actually even post this to the Twitter if anybody cares and wants to see it. I remade one of the original posters for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as John Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And what happens is when you make these, the celebrity that's on stage, or stand-up comedian, or both, picks the name tag, and then they play for you, and you win the prizes that were brought by all of the people on stage.
They play like a trivia game or something?
Yeah, so it's a movie trivia game.
That's
and then
cool.
It's just mixed in with a lot of comedy. They shoot the shit, that kind of thing. Lots of riffing on each other, that kind of stuff. So my name tag got picked.
Sweet.
And it was very cool. And then the guy that picked my name tag, a comedian by the name of Sean Jordan, at Sean S. Jordan on Twitter, by the way, proceeded to win. So I won all of the prizes on Doug Loves Movies. And you can hear it on iTunes at Doug Loves Movies, or go to douglovesmovies.com. Want to just give him a quick little plug, since
link down in the description.
Yes. So there is a podcast in Orlando called Tom and Dan. And Ross, who's the third mic on that show, was one of the guest celebrities on Doug Loves Movies. And he brought a bunch of really cool shit. And a couple of the things that he brought were a couple of really cool glass pieces from a company called Diesel Glass. And by the way, none of this is an advertisement. None of these people paid me to say any of this shit. It was just a really cool experience, and I want to make sure I give these people some love.
I will let them pay me, however.
So he brought a bunch of really cool shit. I won some Veterans Coffee, which is a local coffee company that supports veterans causes. So that was awesome. The glass from Diesel Glass. From Ross McCoy on Tom and Dan. So go check out Tom and Dan.
Link in the description.
Ross at L Ross on Twitter.
Link in the description.
Great shows, great people. Check out Doug Love Movies. I absolutely loved it. It was definitely top 5 experience of my life being able to do that. Thank you for letting me tell you all about it. Have a nice day.
Hello everyone and welcome to Riding the Pine, the only show that moisturizes, improves, and soothes your skin after your shave. Today I have John with me, and just John. We're just going alone. We're a 2-man wolf pack. And today we are reviewing Thursday's game, of course. We're going to talk definitely about the possible death of Revis Island. And then we will give you fantasy previews for every single game on the upcoming Week 2 schedule for the Sunday and Monday games. We're very much looking forward to it. John, how's you doing today? Your face is just beautiful, by the way.
Well, I keep it beautiful by making sure to moisturize after I shave. But since I only shave my neck because of this grandiose beard I have, I make sure to use witch hazel on it first to stop the burn across my neck.
Witch hazel?
Oh yeah, but witch hazel's good stuff.
That sounds made up. I'm not gonna lie to you. That sounds like an herb that someone would do to cast a spell on someone. Well, anyways, so I know you watched the Thursday night game. You were live tweeting it from the Twitter account, which is at
The Pine Bench.
The Pine Bench on the Twitterverse. So if you're not following that on Twitter, you're garbage. So the Jets beat the Bills 37-31. It was a really, really good game when it really shouldn't have been. Basically, the Bills just cashed in on 2 big plays, it felt like. And then after that, the Jets were just clearly the better team. But big stories from this game, I think number one that everyone's talking about is the Revis Island. Basically, last week in week 1, he got torched by A.J. Green for 1,000,000,000 yards and 47 touchdowns. A.J. Green is currently in the Hall of Fame. already after that game. Just kidding. But and in week 2, he got torched by Goodwin. I don't even know his first name. But he's an Olympic sprinter on the Bills that happens to play wide receiver, and he's not very good, but he's super fast. And so people are saying, is Revis Island, Darrelle Revis, is he officially no longer Revis Island? And someone, I think it was Darren Ravel, I could be wrong, tweeted the other day, looks like AJ Green sipping Mai Tais on Revis Island. Well, this time it looks like Revis Island has just sunk into the depths of the ocean. He looked ineffective.
Yeah, so when I live tweeted about this, I actually called him Revis Jetty, because that was about as much into the ocean as I felt like he could be anymore after these last 2 games. I think maybe he has one more good week to try to prove that he is still Revis Island. But, yeah. I mean, at this point...
I hear you, but they're playing the Chiefs, meaning he's got Jeremy Maclin, who's also super fast.
Yeah, so at what point do we start calling him Darrelle Revis Midwest? Because he's going to be as far from the ocean or as far away from an island as a person could be.
Revis, Kansas, where he's just landlocked. Yeah, I don't know. He looks definitely older. I will definitely say that. Now, his fundamentals seem sound still. If you watch the replay on that, he's hand-checking him, which is basically they teach you in football if you play corner to touch the wide receiver or whoever that you're covering with your hand, so you can look back at the ball and the quarterback while still knowing the location of your wide receiver. What he did was he took his hand off for a second because Goodwin's an Olympic fucking sprinter. He's literally the fastest person in the NFL by about 1 mile per hour, according to the advanced statistics. And Darrelle Revis is like 48 years old, but he's just not fast enough, and he took his hand off the guy, and he got torched. That was the only play that guy made all game, though, let's be fair. And he didn't get really beat badly after that. There was one where, I want to say Salas is the guy that caught the other bomb, but it was because of a scramble, and it wasn't Revis' side. Revis was actually covering a guy below that route. So I don't know if it's actually dead. I mean, AJ Green's like one of the top 3 receivers in the league. He's a fucking freak. So it's hard to take the stats that AJ Green puts up against anyone as an indictment on that person. But Goodwin? I think that's what everyone went, But I keep thinking, like, they showed that stat. They do the next-gen stats on CBS Thursday games. And, he had broken the the current NFL season record for speed on a route this year already. So, I mean, are we assuming Darrelle Revis should be able to keep up with that guy running backwards, trying to look at the quarterback?
No, and that's the thing is during the game they actually did show a stat, and they showed the 2 of them running that particular play that Revis got burned on. And he was running, I think, a half a mile an hour faster than him. But Darrelle Revis was still running over 22 miles per hour.
Right,
the guy
crazy.
Is not slow. He's,
right.
I can't yet say that, and I started to say this on Thursday night, and I have to reel back from it, because if he's still running over 22 miles an hour, I don't think that Darrelle Revis is losing a step yet. I think younger guys are coming into the league, and there's always going to be somebody faster, especially because he just keeps getting a year older. But if the guy's still running 22 miles an hour, I think he's going to find his way to recovery, at least for this season.
All he needed was an over-the-top help on a safety there, and it's fine. But that means he's no longer an island, right? I think we could say, like, okay, he's still a shutdown corner, but he just needs help over the top.
Right, and so, I think, that's actually a very good way to say it. If he needs that help over the top, it's going to be difficult to call him Revis Island moving forward.
Right, but I would still consider him one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Oh, most certainly.
Other than the Revis stuff, of course, and by the way, let us know your opinion of Darrelle Revis down in the comments. We want to know, is he dead to you, or is he still one of the best corners in the league? I think he's one of the best corners in the league still.
I agree.
Now, the Jets put up ridiculous numbers. Ryan Fitzpatrick came through in week 2 for his fantasy owners big time. There was 3 players with over 100 yards. Brandon Marshall, Matt Forte, and Eric Decker, the Great White Hope. Brandon didn't catch any touchdowns for me, though. But Decker caught you some touchdowns.
Yeah, Eric Decker scored me 25 points this week, so I was pretty happy with his performance.
It's not too shabby. It was a really good showing. Matt Forte, 3 touchdowns. I think this is his best week on the ground ever.
I tweeted this out during the game as well several times. I was impressed as hell with Forte running between the tackles on Thursday night. It was fun to watch. You know, he got a couple of those slip screens in. He and Fitzpatrick got a few of those in. But watching him just be able to bury the ball through the tackles and run the way he did was a lot of fun.
The dude also is insanely patient. I don't remember that from his Bears days, but maybe I wasn't paying attention enough. But he was just he would just bounce around. He was moving forward the whole time, but it was patient, and then he would wait for his burst, take the chance. I don't know if that's just a more mature runner, like a veteran that's been in the league for a while, or if that's just, his ball carrier vision, which has always been generally pretty good. He has pretty low per carry averages. It might have to do with some of his lack of explosion out of the box necessarily, but he definitely waits for holes. You don't see a lot of negative plays with Forte. You might not see the huge chunks that you get out of, say, an AP in his prime, which still might be now. We'll see this later this week. But he definitely doesn't get caught behind the line. Of course, his line has something to do with that, but and also that they have to respect the pass. But he looked really good. I think he's going to fit this offense better than Chris Ivory did. Bilal Powell is basically a non-factor now that they have a 3-down back. And a lot of people thought that he'd get the 3rd down reps. Forte's not giving him an inch.
Right. I thought that too, which is why I actually drafted Bilal Powell late in our draft, and he got 1 fantasy point last night, and the guy showed that he was probably going to be a good running back, but he ended up behind a guy that doesn't want to give the ball up even on 3rd down. So I don't think we're going to see him much this year. Yeah.
If Forte goes down, of course, I think he's totally worth it. But last note on the Thursday game, which again was a fantastic game. Ryan Fitzpatrick sounds just like Bill Belichick in post-game interviews. He's super boring. He's monotonous. His voice literally has the same tone to it. It's super weird, and it took me aback a little bit. Did you notice that? Did you watch that part? We really went out there, and we passed the ball well, and they played good defense. Okay, thanks, Ryan. Anyways. So moving on to the...
There's one other thing I want to bring up, and that's the fact that there's some fallout from this game on Thursday night. Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, was fired.
Yes, he was.
By Rex Ryan, in fact.
Yeah, this is just, 7 hours ago? Ian Rappaport, I'm seeing. And he got taken over by their running back coach?
Yes, who has quite a history with Rex Ryan. It was...
Is he also Rex Ryan's brother? Nepotism.
It is Anthony Lynn, who, according to ESPN, has been one of Ryan's lieutenants since 2009 with the New York Jets. So he has been with Rex Ryan for quite a while, and that now makes his entire coaching staff all Rex Ryanites. So it seems to me like maybe Buffalo is saying, if you're not going to fucking win games with the people we give you, win them with the people you pick. I'm going to give Rex Ryan till maybe week 6.
Yeah, if they don't start winning, I see whenever their bye week is, I see the week before the bye, probably him being axed. Yeah. Oh, I guess there's one more thing we should talk about real quick. And this happened literally because of what happened to Cam Newton last Thursday night. But Tyrod Taylor got hit really hard near the end of the game. And looked fine. He popped right back up. Ed Hockley, the head ref and men's fitness advocate, pulled Tyrod Taylor out of the game for a little bit to go through concussion protocol. Now, he passed, but we've never seen this before. At least I haven't.
I've never seen it.
I've only seen it when the player is down and he stays down. I've never seen it when he pops back up. And I gotta think they had a referees meeting and they're like, okay, you got to pull guys when you think there could be a helmet-to-helmet violent concussion-esque hit. You got to pull them out because we don't want people tripping at us like they did with Cam, because Cam looked fine too. Although Cam, I will say, looked dazed as fuck the other night, and they didn't pull him out in that final drive. And then E.J. Manuel went in, and I think he ran 2 plays. I think it was a run play and then a pass on an out route that got a first down, I believe, or close to one. So it played fine. It didn't really affect the game, I don't think, that much. But it did protect Tyrod Taylor, and frankly, I'm for it. I'm all for it. I think this is fantastic. If the NFL wants to protect its players, that's what it's got to do. Rex Ryan basically mirrored that opinion as well, even though that's his guy. He's like, you know what? Tyrod's health is in question. I want them to do that because he's a person before he's a player, and that's important to me. And I think I respect Rex for that, even though he's probably going to get axed soon.
So I agree with you 100% on that. But here's my thing, and I actually tweeted this out during the game as well. Mm-hmm. I think that there's going to have to be a rule change if they continue with this, and I think it's the right thing to do. They need to be looking at protecting these guys' heads. But if concussion protocol takes multiple plays and the guy ends up being fine, and we're talking specifically about the first string quarterback right now, if there's an injury during to the second string quarterback during the time that he is off the field, the first string quarterback, if the third string quarterback has to come in for any plays, the first string quarterback under the current rules is disqualified from being able to come back in for the rest of the game.
It's like a relief pitcher situation, which is super weird to me.
Yeah, so once the third stringer comes in, the first stringer is disqualified, and only the second and third stringer can switch off. So
the only reason I can think for that rule to exist is to prevent game-by-game tanking. Maybe like the quality, the product on the field you want for your TV audience. So your second stringer is the guy that you are able to put in if he's active for the game. If say the game's a blowout or whatever, as opposed to putting in some third string guy that's not good. I don't know the actual reason. I'm just guessing. Anyways, so tell us what you think about all those things down in the comments. Of course, we're more than happy to have that discussion. Maybe bring it up on the next show where maybe we will read your comment if it is good enough. Do better. Do better, guys. Like sports writer style comments. That's what we're expecting from you. No shit posts. I don't want to see any dicks either.
Yeah, Julian.
On to the Sunday games. We have Saints versus Giants is first up. Last year, this netted the largest 2 quarterback fantasy totals all season. It was ridiculous. I had Drew Brees that week. In our league, he got me like 56 points. It was bonkers. I say start everybody. Start every single person you have in this game. It'll probably be all right. Let's be honest. I'm starting Willie Snead. I would even consider starting the third wide receivers, Michael Thomas, Victor Cruz, if you need a flex guy. It's only week 2, but you never know what happens with your teams. If you're desperate, the wide receiver 3s on each team are probably viable as at least a high upside flex. I wouldn't pick either defense. I think both quarterbacks are perfectly startable. Both defenses suck assholes. And frankly, any Saints receiver always has a chance. Like Kobe Fleener last week didn't do shit. He's always startable with Drew Brees at the helm. So I'm good to go on that. Start the whole squad if you must.
Yeah, I see no reason why this isn't going to be a high-scoring game, and I would start as many Saints players as I could, except their defense.
What's your pick on the winner of this? I'm going to say Saints just because I like Drew Brees more. I think the Giants have a better defense, but it does never seem to matter with Drew. So I'm saying at least probably a touchdown difference. It's going to be a close game, probably a shootout.
It really seems to me like it's just going to turn into a repeat of last year.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I can't expect as many points as last year, but definitely it should be fun. The next game we have on the slot is my Lions versus the Tennessee Titans. I'm looking forward to this game because the Titans suck, and hopefully we can make it 2-0, baby, with the Fightin' Cooters. Say it with me. The Fightin' Cooters. I expect the Lions to thoroughly thrash this team, though I could foresee the Titans scoring upwards of 20 points. I just see the Lions scoring into 28 to 30 something. So I would start. I think Golden Tate's a good play. Eric Ebron has sneaky upside in this. The Titans aren't very good against tight ends, and he's probably available in a lot of leagues right now. Now I have Jordan Reed on my team at the same time. I'm considering starting Ebron, even though all the experts tell me to start Jordan Reed based on volume because it's a PPR league. He could definitely get into the end zone though, so he's definitely viable. DeMarco Murray is definitely a good play against what I consider not a very good run defense in Detroit. DeAndre Levy actually is doubtful for this game already. This is week 2 and he's doubtful, so arguably the best linebacker on the team, probably not playing. Tahir Whitehead, though, is pretty good, so he'll be out there. I kind of like Tajay Sharp for the Titans in PPR leagues because they got to throw the ball somewhere. Delaney Walker's also always a valuable tight end. I don't know about Mariota though. The Lions have a good pass rush, and I would be concerned about that, especially if your league penalizes sacks. Stafford is an all-year starter until further notice, just so you know. So those are mine.
Yeah, so Stafford especially, I think, is going to probably do really well. Let's face it, the Titans did not look good, especially in the secondary last week.
Oh, and I forgot to mention Marvin Jones. He's definitely a big play receiver. And they spread the ball around so much in Detroit. Both running backs, again, are viable. Amir Abdullah and Theo Riddick, I think, are both always good to go until further notice, especially against poor run defenses, because Theo Riddick actually ran the ball last week effectively, which was super weird. So yeah, I like Tajay Sharp, DeMarco Murray, and Marcus Mariota. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, probably going to put up some points. I'm still worried about that pass rush, but the Lions secondary it's pretty soft. I don't know if it's necessarily touchdown forgiving, because Andrew Luck's a spectacular quarterback, and they have really good weapons there. We have some good corners. But yeah, I would definitely play pretty much all the Lions in this. Next on the docket, we have the Cowboys and the Redskins, a divisional matchup, the NFC East. Just a shit show. Man, Kirk Cousins did not show up to play last week. Dak Prescott looks good for a rookie, but that's for a rookie. Ezekiel Elliott is probably hole blind, I think. We got a little Trent Richardson action happening. I expect him to play well, for the record. Des Bryant, though, he's got Dak thrown to him. The only guy I really, really like in this game is probably Jordan Reed, with an honorable mention to a possible Ezekiel Elliott show. But I'm kind of staying away from this game altogether. They're both middling teams, so it's not like a defense you should play for sure. A lot of people played against the Cowboys in week 1. I get it. It's a rookie quarterback, but they do have some weapons still. There's big play potential all the time. They can still move the sticks, and they have a good kicker. The Redskins, they just have enough weapons, too, where I hate their running game, by the way. Chris Thompson looks like he's the head of that backfield suddenly, though. A lot of people picked Matt Jones for that. He looked terrible. So I don't know. Is there anyone you like from either one of these that's not Jordan Reed?
Yeah, so Kirk Cousins, I think, could be a starter. I feel like last week was a bit of an aberration for him. And I think that a team that he could definitely make his sort of week 2 comeback, if you want to really call it that, it would be against the Cowboys. I think Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins could both be sort of panic starts if you have a shitty QB situation already. Like if Joe Flacco is a quarterback you would think about starting, or if
or if you have Andrew Luck who's going against Denver this week.
Yeah. Very good point. Or like let's say maybe RG3 was the quarterback that you were going to ride your season on, and now you got to go pick somebody up off the waiver wires. Yeah, I think
Luke McCown against Baltimore if that's the case.
Right. So Kirk Cousins, I think, is somebody that could possibly be an emergency starter this week.
So do you think Deshaun Jackson is going to be okay then, or?
So yes, I do. I'm actually starting him this week in place of Demaryius Thomas, because I think that this is the week Kirk Cousins is going to make his comeback. Dallas is the team to do it against. They just don't look good.
The thing about that pick is, though, the Colts secondary sucks balls. So I might play Demaryius Thomas, although Simeon didn't look very impressive. Man, that's a tough call. You're right. That's probably a toss-up. D-Jax has big fucking play potential, though.
Yes.
So, he's got a better quarterback for sure. I'm probably taking the Redskins since they're at home and Dak is a rookie. And I think they just have a more complete team at the moment. But if Ezekiel Elliott finds a way to control the ball, the Redskins are going to have a really tough day. So Chiefs-Texans is next on the slot. Another 11 o'clock game. It's at the Texans, so Lou will probably be at that game. I think the Chiefs are a better team. I like the Texans' defense. The Chiefs' Spencer Ware, I think, is startable until the foreseeable. I think he's actually unbenchable until the foreseeable. assuming that Jamal Charles stays out and inactive. I think Hopkins is always startable. I really liked Fuller last week. That was surprising. I still don't like Osweiler as much as I like the two wide receivers, though, because he's inconsistent, and I feel like if you're getting points from Osweiler, it's rack situation, so it's going to be one of those guys, he didn't throw them open, they got themselves open. How about that?
Yeah, actually, that's a great way to put it, because what I was going to say is it felt like DeAndre Hopkins was just running under the ball. Osweiler wasn't getting it to him. He was running under it. Yeah,
definitely. And I think Lamar Miller, just based on the workload, is going to be a RB1 for the rest of the season unless he goes down. I mean, you're talking Arian Foster level production from this guy who is just as athletic as Arian was 3 years ago. So I think you got to start him. Anyone else on the Chiefs? I think Travis Kelce he's that guy that is always viable in tight end. I know he didn't play well last week. Jeremy Maclin's good. Alex, if I had to pick between the two quarterbacks, I'm going Alex Smith this week.
Yeah.
But again, he's your QB 15 every week, forever and ever. So just expect that if that's who you're going with.
Yeah, so I'll tell you exactly this is happening on my team. I switched Alex Smith out, and I'm starting Andy Dalton, believe it or not. Even though he's playing the Steelers, I'm starting Andy Dalton over the Chiefs, only because I think that the Texans are playing a good enough defense, at least coming out of week one, that Alex Smith is going to struggle. And they struggled so much in the first half against San Diego. They're going to have to make sure they keep that second half momentum going coming into this week if they want. Because Houston's not going to be as easy of a team to come back against as San Diego was.
I agree. And also, I do like the Dalton pick against Steelers. The Steelers do not have a very good defense this year. And they're going to have to score as many points as they've been scoring to win a lot of games. However, I think they're going to win a lot of games with that scoring. It's ridiculous. Moving on to the Dolphins and the Patriots. Your Dolphins going against Garoppolo-led Patriots. I think before week one started, I think all Dolphins fans were thinking, you know what, it's not going to be easy, but we could probably go steal one. We could steal one from Foxborough. And then Garoppolo played week one, and I think everyone went, uh-oh, he's pretty good. So I don't know who I favorite in this game, honestly. The Dolphins showed me something last week. I think they looked okay. They didn't look great. They looked okay. But the Patriots really looked good. And man, Belichick is just amazing. I think Jarvis Landry, this is his first really good game of the season. I think Arian Foster might also have a very good day. But I think the Pats are just going to outscore most likely. I think start Martellus Bennett if you need him, if you need a tight end. Start Garoppolo, start Edelman for some reason. That just works out. Tannehill, to me, he's always good for like a pick or something or a fumble. Or, I don't know, he just seems to always turn the ball over. That could just be my anti-Tannehill bias. Is there anyone else that you're thinking of? Like, a lot of people are talking James White right now or LeGarrette Blount. I don't like either of those players consistently. I don't like any Patriots running back consistently except Deion Lewis when he comes back.
I would definitely not start Kenny Stills this week.
Kenny Stills, for those who are unaware, dropped like a 75-yard bomb wide open last week. It was pretty sad. That would have made Tannehill owners real happy. I'm sure no one started Stills anyways, though.
And it was the only fucking reason you won the game, Russell Wilson. Fuck you.
Yeah, I know. The Dolphins looked very competitive against Seattle, and Seattle should have lost that game. There's a lot of teams that should have lost the game last week, but
so that defense, by the way, is why I think that Miami is potentially capable of going 1-1 this week. I think if the defense plays the way that they did last week, and there's no reason that they shouldn't, based on the fact that Seattle is a better team than Miami, and they are a better team than this Patriots team with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, Garoppolo played well. You're absolutely right. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see if he can carry that through to next week. And if Miami's defense holds through, then really, I think if Miami scores 20 points, they could win this game.
Yeah, I think it's totally reasonable to say that. The only thing is in Foxborough, and that's just an insane place to play. So
true, but I'm going to tell you something, and all Dolphins fans will be able to tell you the same thing. It always feels, and I'll have to look the numbers up to see if I can back up my feeling. It always feels like when Miami and New England split, they split at each other's homes.
Huh. That's interesting. I wonder what the stats say. So yeah, I guess I'm taking the Patriots, but by a hair, and I would not be surprised if the Dolphins win that game. Next up, I think this is the shit show of the week. Yeah,
I
I'm
agree.
looking at the schedule. This is definitely the shit show of the week. Honorable mention to Monday night's game, but Ravens Browns. Don't watch this game. If you have Red Zone, that's cool, but you shouldn't care about any of these because you're not starting anybody, are you? Except for the Ravens defense. I would start the Ravens defense. I wouldn't start. I'm streaming the Ravens defense this year. No, I'm not. This week. And I'm not looking forward to anyone. I think Gary Barnage, his number should go up with Luke McCown.
Yes.
Or Josh McCown. Which one is it? Which McCown is it? The
It's
non-Saint
Josh.
McCown. It's
Josh
Josh.
McCown.
Josh McCown. You know, the one that did the helicopter last year. I think him and Barnage hook up a lot. I don't know about anyone else on the Cleveland offense that I wouldn't start McCown. I might start Barnage, just based on targets. Ravens, I don't like anybody. A lot of people are high on Kamar Aiken still. Not a fan. That's a 3-headed running back core, and Joe Flacco is not elite. So, yeah, I'm just starting the Ravens defense.
I might start Gary Barnage just because of the fact that McCown's coming back in. He's the only other person I'd even consider. There's no one else in this game really worth bothering with from a fantasy perspective. Unless the only unfortunate thing is this is probably the game that will decide this week's FanDuel. Because some asshole will play the sleeper that no one was thinking of and he'll go off. And if that's going to happen, it's going to be this game. Because it's... yuck.
Yeah, it's going to be Justin Forsett or some shit. Fuck. Anyways, onto a game that looked like shit on paper a week ago and looks like a less runny shit in week 2. 49ers versus Panthers. One of the final 11 o'clock games. They're at the Panthers. I expect the Panthers to win this game handily. However, the 49ers were far better, especially up front on defense, than I thought they would have been. Again, that was against LA, who sucks, who has no quarterback until Jared Goff steps behind center. But they can actually... I think Navarro Bowman is the heart of that defense. So as long as he's healthy, I think they're competitive. I wouldn't say they're going to win a lot of games, but they'll be in games more often than they're out of games throughout the season. Panthers, though, should destroy this. I really like Kelvin Benjamin this week. I really like Cam every week. I have a hard time picking a 49er player. So I would consider the Panthers D an all-start almost all the time anyways. But definitely Cam, definitely Kelvin Benjamin, and I think Greg Olsen as well, since he just gets tons of targets. But it should drop as Kelvin Benjamin progresses.
Jonathan Stewart's probably not a terrible start either.
He's not terrible. He just never runs for like 1 billion yards and 7 touchdowns. It always seems like it ends up getting Mike Tolbert will steal a touchdown or Cam will steal a touchdown. But yeah, he's definitely in the RB2 mix. He has an upside for at least 1 touchdown. He's certainly a viable flex, especially in standard leagues where there's not PPR.
That's actually where I'm starting him. I'm starting him in the flex slot, I believe, this week. So
yeah. So, yeah, is there anyone on the 49ers that you're even considering?
Nope. I would consider Navarro Bowman if I had access to him for the defensive players that we have in our league, but most leagues aren't going to be concerned with defensive players. So, no, there's nobody on the 49ers that I'm bothering with this week.
I totally agree with you. IDP is Navarro Bowman, but yeah. Bengals Steelers, the last 11 o'clock game on our schedule. I gotta go Steelers, especially since they're at home. Antonio Brown, if you bench him ever, you should be fined or something. Like maybe there's a concentration camp for Antonio Brown non-believers.
It almost makes sense to start him while he's suspended, just because he may find a way to get you points anyway.
Yeah, I know. Like Antonio Brown will just walk out into the midfield and like twerk and get you 5 points. I don't know. But he's fantastic. He also was in the punt return game. And he broke like 2 off last year. I started him when Michael Vick was the starter last year, and it burned me. But I can't take Antonio Brown out of my lineup. I refuse, and you should as well. Yep. I would also consider if D'Angelo Williams is available in your league, all of your league mates are idiots, and you will start him this week, and you will win. I don't like I never like the Bengals running backs. There's just too much tumultuousness. in that situation. They're not predictable. Now, 1 week Jeremy Hill or Giovanni Bernard, one or the other is probably going to be your starter, viability-wise, but it's a crapshoot. It's honestly a crapshoot. I love AJ Green every week, and therefore I like both quarterbacks in this game. It's a shootout. I would almost consider it probably one of the higher scoring games of the week, maybe the highest. Falcons-Raiders has the potential, and Jaguars-Chargers have the potential to really put this into question. But Bengals-Steelers, start your quarterbacks, start your number one wide receivers. Do you like any other wide receivers for the Steelers specifically?
Wheaton tends to be a streaky kind of guy. Like he's kind of a third receiver, fourth receiver, sort of rotating slot guy, and he tends to get streaky. And this is a game I could see him getting streaky in.
Eli Rogers last week had 17 points. I mean, he went 6 for 59 yards and a touchdown. So that's an 11-point game in PPR without the touchdown, which is probably what you can expect. He's decent. Sammy Coates got 7. Wheaton ended up he got injured in his shoulder. He's questionable, but questionable is the new probable. I'm not scared of starting like Sammy Coates, Eli Rogers, or Marcus Wheaton at all, just based on volume. But those are you're kind of betting on big plays with any of those guys. It looks like Eli Rogers is getting the targets. He got 7 targets last week. He caught 6 of them. Obviously, Antonio Brown, he got 11 targets. 8 catches, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. No big deal. I own him. You can never really go wrong. It's funny that Marcus Wheaton is probably their 4th wide receiver. Martavis Bryant's coming back next year. They just got so many weapons, man. So many weapons. I'm staying away from the tight ends, though. Jesse James was the guy. He caught 5 balls, but only for 31 yards. And I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that at all. So, stay away. Next on the list, Buccaneers and Cardinals. I'm having a hard time with this game. I'm having a hard time because I can't figure out who to start. I can't figure out anything about this. The Buccaneers are this kind of aberration. Almost like they seem inconsistent. Some people think their defense is really good. Some people think it sucks. Some people, I think, overvalue the Cardinals, and I think I'm one of them. But I don't know if that's true or not. I know they're both pretty good teams. I can't decide whether to start Jameis Winston or Matt Ryan in my league, which tells you something. This could be a shootout, or it could be a slobber knocker. I have no idea. I have no clue going into this game. I'm picking the Cardinals to win because they showed it to me last year, but don't be surprised if the Bucs show you something today and just go after it, because they are a genuinely good team with good young weapons. I'm starting Mike Evans. I'm starting Dougie, the muscle hamster. I'd consider Jameis Winston a definite start. I don't really care for Austin Seferian-Jenkins, but if you're desperate for tight ends, I guess go for it. Cardinals, got to start David Johnson. The thing about their wide receivers is it's one of them.
Right. But you never know which one.
Last week it was Larry. This week it could be anybody. So I don't know. That's kind of a call. I usually would put them in my flex because they're a really high-end flex position. So that's fine with me. Carson Palmer, of course, I have in my 2-quarterback league, our league right now. Definitely starting him. So because I think the Buccaneers secondary is suspect. But I think the Bucs might, to keep the ball out of Carson's hands, go run first. Especially because I know that Dirk Cutter, the head coach for the Bucs, is a huge Doug Martin fan because they have Boise State ties. So, I think those are my starters. I'm not starting either defense, though. Not a chance.
No way. No, not this year. The Cardinals' defense, I think, last year was definitely... I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it, but they just looked porous last week.
Yeah, they did. I think it was the underneath routes.
Yeah.
For sure, they got exposed a little bit. So, but I don't know if the Bucs have a guy like Edelman that can do that. But I think actually Chris Sims is another good idea. He catches a lot of balls out of the flats. So if you're in a PPR league, consider him. This game is going to be a really, really good one. But the next game has my number one defense for the week in it. Seahawks at Rams. It's the LA season opener. First time since, the 80s? 90s maybe? I don't remember. The Seahawks are going to fucking destroy the Rams because the Rams don't have a quarterback because Jeff Fisher isn't a coach. So until then, also, I'm actually not starting Todd Gurley this week. Now, he did play well against the Seahawks twice, maybe once last year. To be fair, he I think it was the week after he surprised the Cardinals in his week 4 return. Man, I'm staying away from the Rams right now until they show me something. Todd Gurley owners, be patient. Do not drop him, you idiot. Unless you can trade him for a ton of shit, then that's probably fine. But hold on to him. He's going to get better later on because the Rams are going to go towards Goff, and Goff will open the offense up. Even if they don't put up a ton of points, they're still going to be a threat through the air. Seahawks, on the other hand, they're also going up against a good defense. The Rams are a very good defense. I would consider Doug Baldwin a definite starter. Russell Wilson, I think, is bench proof at this point in his career. I hate him, and I hope he gets cancer of the ears. But he's unbenchable. Is there anyone on the Rams that you're considering at all? I mean, Todd Gurley. It sounds stupid to say, yeah, I'm sitting Todd Gurley. He's the best running back in the league, most likely, like pure running back. At least he will be when AP gets gone. But can't start him. I can't start him this week.
Start Giovanni Bernard over Todd Gurley this week.
Yeah, I agree. He's like below the 30th running back for me right now. I think he's projected 36th in some places.
And as much as it sucks, it's not his fault. I hate that.
It's not his fault.
The rest of that team is just bad.
I'm worried the dude's gonna fucking get injured because of he'll get the ball and there'll already be someone in his face, and it's like, oh, god damn it! Like Todd ran a 10-yard run that was really a 25-yard run and 3 broken tackles the other day. Like that, he's that good, but he can't do it by himself.
Right.
His line is decent. There's no threat of a pass. So they do have a really exotic run offense, though, but they did not show it the other day. I have no idea why they didn't show it against the San Francisco 49ers. They didn't. They ran like 2 motion plays. When last year, when they were their most successful, they're running a fake jet sweep several times per game. I have no idea why it didn't work out, but they didn't do it. Seahawks are a fantastic defense. Stick with your Seahawks, not your Rams. Falcons-Raiders could be a shootout this week. I'm thinking about starting Matt Ryan over Jameis Winston because of this, but it still scares me. So I don't know what the fuck to do. John, maybe you can help me in a second. But I'm starting Mohamed Sanu as a flex. Obviously, Julio Jones is good, which on the ESPN app read Julius Jones for some reason. Matt Ryan is definitely startable this week. Based upon what we saw from the New Orleans game against the Raiders last week, of course. The Raiders, I think Carr, of course. I don't like the running back situation there, though. I think Latavius Murray ended up getting the end zone last week to save his fantasy day, but yeah, I'm not a fan. Amari Cooper is fantastic, deep threat. Michael Crabtree gets hella targets, especially in the red zone. So I'm starting all those people, no defenses. What do you got for me, John?
Latavius Murray scored 13 points in a regular scoring league last week on the ESPN app. So, I mean, that to me sounds like a decent flex play for Latavius Murray, but I don't think I'd start him as an RB1 or an RB2 this week. Only because
it's like a 7-headed running back monster back there. I feel like there's so many touches going around.
Yeah, and that's why I'm huffing and puffing about it so much, is because you look at this and you're like, okay, Falcons, Devontae Freeman. He sounds like Devontae. I don't know, but I don't know that the Raiders aren't going to just crush his entire day.
Right? I know. Khalil Mack is still on the field, Bruce Irvin. Yeah, and also Tevin Coleman last week stole some fucking points. So, yeah, that's scary. Lou has both of them now. Both Falcons running backs. Just kind of waiting it out and seeing who gets the job.
Not a terrible idea. And I think that part of what flusters me about this game so much and why I A, have so little to say about it, and B, sound like a bumbling idiot every time I try to say something, is this game feels like it literally could be a 6-3 game or a 40-38 game.
I agree with
and
you.
I don't
it's
know
super
which
weird.
way. I don't know which way to go with it, and I think that's going to be the problem with the Raiders all year. By the way,
Yeah, because I don't know if they're gonna. Their defense isn't gonna show up to play every week. Then what the fuck?
but that the offense is going to be explosive and fun to watch.
Right. So I don't know what the point total is for this, but I'm taking the over.
I'd take the over. I'm thinking so.
Tell me this: do you start Matt Ryan or Jameis Winston then?
So, personally, I am starting Matt Ryan. If it was me that had to make the pick, since I know you're the one that has to.
Yeah, I do. Who do I have starting right now? Matt Ryan I have starting right now.
Yeah,
Jameis is on the bench.
That would be the way that I would be leaning personally, because I think that Matt Ryan has a little bit more. Matt Ryan and Jameis Winston have both shown a knack for getting streaky, and that's kind of my word of the day today for whatever reason. But if there's any team that Matt Ryan could go off against, even and still lose the game, by the way, it's going to be the Raiders. So I honestly think Matt Ryan is the better choice this week.
I like Matt Ryan through week 3, by the way. He has Tampa Bay, of course. He dropped 23.5 points in our league. Oakland this week, and then New Orleans the week after that. But then he has Carolina, Denver, and Seattle. Don't start him. I'm going to try to trade him to some idiot not named John. His name is Dave, and he won't be listening to this, and he will be having Matt Ryan, and he'll think I'm an idiot, so it'll be fine. I already targeted him. He doesn't even know it yet. Moving on, man, the Falcons-Raiders game, that could be a lot of fun. Jaguars-Chargers, which I think will also be a shootout, although I think the Jaguars have more weapons at this point because Keenan Allen went down. I'm starting the Allen Bros. I think you can start Bortles because there's no defense at all in San Diego.
TJ Yeldon is a viable flex.
TJ Yeldon, because Ivory went to the hospital and we don't know his status coming in this week. I would keep him. I would monitor that, and luckily it's a Sunday game, not a Thursday game.
Yeah.
Actually, it might not be. Luckily, if it was Thursday, Ivory would have been in the hospital still. So I don't even know what's wrong with him. They haven't really said anything.
No,
They're not being very transparent. So I hope he's okay. But TJ Yeldon's probably the guy to go with. He's definitely safer at this point. And I think he's got more upside than Ivory. Ivory's more of a bell cow. I also really like Danny Woodhead and Melvin Gordon. Do I like him? I can't tell. We'll see. I'm starting Melvin Gordon if I have him, probably because I picked him high. But Danny Woodhead's a definite play. Melvin Gordon, you probably had to overpay for at some point because he had that hype thing going into the draft this year. Because people were like, oh, he's got to get a touchdown this year. He ended up getting 2 in week 1. So, I don't know. The Jaguars have a better defense. I mean, they just have a better team overall. Make a coin flip on Melvin Gordon. Maybe if you have matchups down below in the comments, we can see. It really depends on who you might be playing instead. I think Gordon will get the rushing touches. If it's a PPR league, you got to go Woodhead. Is Cheeseburger Rivers viable now that Keenan Allen's gone? Because he went from like the number 1 quarterback and dropped down to 9 by the end of the season by the time Keenan Allen went down last year.
Yeah. Oof. I just don't know that they're going to be able to pick that up. I'm being a bumbling idiot again because I feel so damn bad for Keenan Allen. I feel like I
know the dude, he just keeps losing seasons. This was his 3rd total season loss.
I think the only player I feel worse for right now in the last 5 years is the running back out of the New York Giants, David Wilson, that had to retire at 23 years old. I think he may be the only player I felt
bad for Sam Bradford until last year. I'm taking the Jaguars. It's probably by a touchdown or 2. Chargers are going to suck this year. Sorry, Bolts fans.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars win this game pretty handily.
Yeah. So the Colts are going to Mile High and visiting the Broncos. I don't foresee this turning out very well for them because they just lost to a Lions team that whose defense did not show up to play, which shocked me because they actually have some pretty good players on that end. Yeah, this might have more points than you think, actually, because the Colts can really put some scores up, but against that Broncos defense, I just don't have faith in that line. I got to go Broncos here, probably by 3 or 7. And you start Luck. You can't not start Luck if you picked him. He's your guy. He'll probably still get you some points. He's going to have a rough day, though, and I hope he comes out of it healthy because last year he got smacked around a fuck ton. T.Y. Hilton is probably fine. I don't know if I'm starting anybody else. A lot of people are high on Moncrief. I don't get it. Maybe I'm stupid, but I just don't really care for it. Last week, the Broncos showed me that they can push the ball down the field. C.J. Anderson, the hype was real. I didn't listen, and I didn't pick him, and that was on me. I thought about him. He was on my list, and I forsook him, and it's all my fault. I'm sorry, C.J.
If there's any week that Trevor Simeon wants to prove that last week wasn't a fluke, it's going to be this week because he's going up against he's going to go up against a soft defense.
Yeah,
and he's got Von Miller as the defensive quarterback. So he's not going to have to score a ton of points to win this game, but he's going to have to score some.
Yeah, I think they could get out of it with a win with like 17 points. But I wouldn't be surprised if 21 is what they end up with or more. The Colts are a big play away though. That's the thing about them where you can't really count on it. So yeah, I really don't like Frank Gore in this game though. So please stay away from him.
No, do not start a running back against the Broncos, and do not start a slot receiver against the Broncos.
A lot of people like Dwayne Allen, but I don't like him against the Broncos.
No.
So I'm not doing it. I'm staying away from many of the Colts. I think you gotta pick T.Y. and Luck though. That's it. Are both the wide receivers for the Broncos viable? You're sitting Demaryius Thomas,
but I'm sitting him for Deshaun Jackson just because I think that first of all he's listed as questionable, and right. I don't like that. But secondly, I just think Deshaun's going to have a big week against whoever they're playing. Who did we say they're playing again?
the Colts and their shitty defense. I don't know if they're actual Colts in the backfield. They might just be Colts fans that end up playing like safeties and corners. But moving on to another divisional, NFC North. It's the Packers and Vikings. Yay! This is gonna be fun, right? I don't think so. I think the Vikings get shellacked. I think they get shellacked so hard. A lot of people really are high on the Vikings. I still don't understand it. I've been in this division for my whole life. I've watched this team. I watched them last year. They were decent last year. They have a good defense, but Sam Bradford and all you have is a running game? I can't be on that team. I just can't be a Vikings fan here. I really like the Packers.
I do too, but I'm going to tell you, I can see where you're having so much trouble seeing this as a game. By the way, this is my game of the week. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch because here's why.
I'm going.
The
Bucks,
Vikings are
Cardinals,
debuting.
Raiders.
Oh,
Bradford.
The Vikings are debuting not only Sam Bradford but their brand new stadium. These guys have a couple of things to play for, and you forgot about one major player who I think is going to do more than maybe you're letting on, and that's Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs is Tavon Austin in a purple uniform, in my opinion. He's just a super fast guy, and he's good for one big play every once in a while, but one big play every once in a while is worth 7 points max. 6 if they miss a fucking extra point like a bunch of players did last year. But the Packers are just better. I mean, they have more weapons. I'm starting Randall Cobb. I'm starting Jordy Nelson. I think Eddie Lacy's viable. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is viable. I'm staying away from Bradford. You don't know what you're going to get. AP, I feel like he's going to Todd Gurley himself at some point this season because they don't have anybody that you don't have to respect the pass with that team. You just don't have to. Granted, I think Bradford's a better thrower than Teddy Bridgewater is, but man, I think the weapons in Philadelphia are much better than the weapons in Minnesota. So unless they get some major turnovers, I don't see this going the Vikings' way. I see it being a good game for a half, but the second half is where Mike McCarthy makes his money, and Aaron Rodgers I've watched him for too long to ever bet against the fucker. God, he's perfect.
So I think I started making myself known for making kind of off-the-wall predictions last week with the Dolphins and the way that they would play against Seattle. Yeah. I'm going to make a half-bold prediction this week.
Oh, jeez.
The Packers win, but they only win 30-28.
30-20? You're saying the Vikings scored 28 points on a team.
Adrian Peterson
Wow.
is going to rush for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That's not
The Packers
AT.
have a fairly soft defense, even with
They
guys
do.
like Clinton Dix.
They do, but they're really good in the red zone for some reason.
No, that's true. That's true. They very much are. But they got to deal with Sam Bradford. I don't think Sam Bradford is a startable quarterback this week, but I think what he's going to do is open the field up enough that Adrian Peterson can look like Adrian Peterson again.
Beating kids? Yeah. I assume he's not going to do that. Last game on the docket, last game of the week. Eagles and Bears. Don't watch this game. I'm sorry, Carson Wentz. I'm sorry that you have to go to Chicago to get your second win of the season. It's not going to be fun to watch. It's going to be sloppy. There's going to be turnovers. The Eagles are probably going to win. The Bears suck buttholes. And they're in the NFC North, so the more games they lose, the better for me. I think everyone is probably startable just based upon the defenses playing. Alshon Jeffrey, I think Kevin White might have his homecoming game. Cutler, I'm not crazy about it because of the turnovers, of course. But every once in a while, he might be a top 5 quarterback 2 or 3 times a year. This could be one of those times.
This could be one of those games. Cutler is an emergency start this week, I think.
Yeah, the Eagles, Carson, you're going to want to start Carson Wentz because you're like, ooh, rookie, cool. He's I don't know, man. He's going to be middling. He's going to be middling for a while. He might have one of those crazy like RG3 big rushing games once in a while, but there's still NFL players out there. I really hate Jordan Matthews. He drops every ball in the whole world, but the targets are there. Zach Ertz actually got hurt, so he's not startable. Some people like Ryan Matthews still. I don't get the love. I don't get it. Is it just because he's the only guy? Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good. Carlos Hyde, Melvin Gordon, TJ Yeldon last year. It's just, fuck this game. I'm sad that Monday night sucks.
Yeah, and that's the strange thing about this game. So this game has a lot of nostalgic feel to it, right? The Philadelphia Eagles versus the monsters of the Midway, that kind of thing, right?
Man, if this was like 84, 85, fuck yeah, I'd watch this game.
Exactly.
It's
not though.
Even the early 2000s when they had McNabb and Rex Grossman. Yeah, I would even watch that game.
Yeah. Rex Grossman. Didn't he go to a Super Bowl?
His team certainly went to a Super Bowl. I don't know if he even made the plane, but yeah, I think they were forced to take him along.
This game just does not look good. And so I gotta say this. So I feel terrible because the Rams are going to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is going to have football back.
Except there's certainly no greatest show on turf.
And the Rams are the players on the Los Angeles Rams still represent the top 0.5% of all football players in the entire world.
Yeah.
And they just look like high schoolers when they are out there against other teams. But I feel so bad saying that because these guys are out there kicking each other's asses every day.
Dude, there's some really genuinely good players on that team. I think they have a really nice young core, especially on defense. That quarterback can't play. You have to get him out. I'm sorry. I know he's a nice guy. I know a lot of people around the NFL like the fucker, but that doesn't get you wins. Jared Goff is the guy that you got to go with, clearly.
Yeah.
He's already your number 2. It sounds like Jeff Fisher didn't even want to draft the guy, and it was a GM thing, and this is kind of his fuck you. But Jeff Fisher, you're going to lose this job, and hopefully it's soon because you're boring as fuck to watch. You need to pass the ball to run the ball in this league. That's a fact, and it's just got to happen. So, yeah. Why don't we hot takes for the week before we head on out? What my crazy prediction of the week is Matthew Stafford is the number 1 fantasy quarterback this week. Number one over. By the way, the Saints and Giants are playing each other, and Drew Brees is one of those quarterbacks. I think Matthew Stafford has 4 touchdowns and close to 400 yards against the Titans because I think the Lions' defense is just porous enough to give up a couple big plays where they need to score some more points. I think it's going to end in the 30s. I don't think the Titans are going to keep up with that. I think the Titans max are out around 24 points. I think the Lions are going to be... The Lions are the new Saints this year, with the Saints still enjoying success. So, yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. My second hot take of the week is that Sam Bradford looks like hot garbage. Just the hottest of garbage.
Well, I already gave one hot take for the week. My other hot take for the week is this. Jeff Fisher goes 0-4 and gets fired because the Rams are going to go, let's face it, the Rams are going to get their asses kicked this week. So my hot take is Jeff Fisher will be on the hot seat after this week. If they go 0-4, he does not come back for Game 5, and then they go 8-4 and finish the season 8-8.
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule. Week 3 is against the Bucks at the Bucks. Don't like that game. Rams at Cardinals week 4. Week 5, where are the Rams playing? They play the Bills week 5 at home. That could be their first win.
I hate to say it because I was so high on the Bills this year, but
I think I'm starting Todd Gurley in week 5.
Yeah.
So there's I might start him against the Bucks too. I don't know. We'll see what the other matchups are, but I'm not starting him against the Seahawks. It's just not happening. I gotta think that Goff starts by week 4.
I hope so. I think they can still finish 8-8 if they make these changes now, but Jeff Fisher's not going to do it, and I think he's going to end up losing this job. Jeff Fisher
only knows how to go 8-8, though. He's like the best at it.
I really feel like Jeff Fisher is still the head coach of this team just to provide stability during the first quarter of the season while they transition to LA.
You might be totally right. I like... It would be hard to move locations and coaches while still maintaining homogeneity between, the whole team. Yeah. So anything else that we want to add to this week? Man, I don't know if there's any sleepers that we haven't talked about. Yeah. Just start your Raiders and Falcons, kids. And your Jaguars. Definitely. Anything else?
I got nothing.
So that's it for the wrap-up this week. Catch us live Tuesday night for the post-week review. We'll also talk some fantasy there as well. And, of course, we will be eating something, because we always do, on RTP Live. And those are at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday nights. So please tune in there. Also, make sure to catch Sunday, Cooking with Jake, week number 2. If you missed that last time, click the link in the description to go over to Cooking with Jake. We made spicy clam gronkos, which are just tacos named after Robert Gronkowski. And they were really delicious, and a lot of people really liked them, the ones that tried it. So please check that out. You get a new recipe every week for your tailgating needs. I'm Jake. That's John. This is RTP. And this was a goddamn good episode. You are welcome.
Ready, down!